Hey, Warrior Saints, Father Chris here. Welcome to our Crucifixional live stream. Glad to have you beautiful people with us as we wrap up a week about teaching on parenting. One of the greatest flaws, mistakes that I see parents make is to want to be friends with their kids. And you may be saying, well, we don't want to be, fighting all the time with our kids, Father Chris. Of course, we don't want to be fighting with them, but we don't want to be their friends. And I'll tell you why. They have many friends. As our children age and grow and go through school, they make friends in grade school and elementary school and junior high and high school and college and so on, right? They'll have many friends throughout the course of their lives. They will, however, only have one father, and they will, however, have only one mother. Now imagine how much more that situation could be exacerbated if a father is not present or a mother is not present, right? Then all of a sudden, the remaining parent has to become both father and mother. So that one and one becomes one. So you can see how serious we must take the idea of you and I as parents. We cannot be their friends. And if your ego, and I'm going to be tough, if your ego is so soft that you need their admiration at the cost of teaching them truth and how to live as warrior saints, shame on you. That's a you problem, what we call it. That shows that your insecurities take more precedence in your mind and your need than the sake of teaching your children. Do you follow it? And that's a dangerous place to be. A, because your act isn't together, and B, because they're going to suffer. Instead, we must teach them the truth of the gospel and how to live as decent human beings. Listen to what St. Paul tells us in Ephesians chapter 6. It's right before the armor of God stuff. Fathers, do not provoke your children to anger, but bring them up in the discipline and in the instruction of the Lord. We talked about discipline yesterday. Like, we have that duty, that responsibility. So we cannot seek the approval of our children at the cost of telling them what's true and what's right. So, i.e., if a kid makes a mistake, you got to bust some heads. You got to teach, right? They may not like you for that, and that's okay. But if you get stuck wanting them and needing them to like you, that's a you problem. Instead, you must teach them. And here's the beautiful part. If you do that, even when they may not like you, they will love you. I'm going to tell you a true story about my beautiful youngest child, who's not a child anymore, my sweet Amuli. She was young, very little. In our house, we call it the Aunt Rose incident. My wife's great aunt was visiting, and, the child, she was young. She was like 3, whatever. She did something to Aunt Rose. She threw something at her, just as a kid, just doing what kids do. And we said, no, say you're sorry. She wouldn't apologize. So we went in the other room. She and I had a conversation, come back, she wouldn't apologize. Back and forth. We went like 4 or 5 times. Finally, she got one. And you know what? It stuck in the kid's mind that this is, I've got to do the right thing. That discipline taught her I've got to go and apologize. And she did. And let me tell you, from that moment to this moment, again, I'm biased. That is the most well-behaved, pleasant, compassionate, polite, beautiful human being, not child, human being that I know. She is unbelievable. And she's respectful. She's just an angel. And I know that it's my kid and I'm biased. But I say that story to tell you that in those moments, I could have tried to be her friend and say, oh, Amelia, don't worry. Be nice to Aunt Rose. But no, I had to teach her. And it was hard. Believe me, it was harder for me. It hurt me more than it hurt her. But she learned because I was willing to kind of suck up my own insecurities and teach her truth. And because of that, exceptional woman. In fact, this kid may rule the world one day. She's unbelievable. So I say these things to you in that we are not called to be friends with our kids. One day we may become friendly with our children. As we may be already friendly with our parents, but we should never, ever be their friends. They don't need our friendship. They need our discipline, our instruction, our teaching, our love, and the willingness to sacrifice our own insecurities to teach them how to walk as a warrior saint. It's important, maybe perhaps in the craziness that is the world today, the most important thing that you can do as a parent. Love you. We'll be back on Sunday with Orthros and Liturgy, 9 and 10 a.m. Mountain Time, respectively. And then next week, we will resume our live streams as always. Have a great weekend. Don't forget to check out warriorsaints.org. And as always, keep walking on the way of the warrior saint.